Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Viṣṇudūtas Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our humble Dandavat Pranam to the lotus feet of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Bhagavatam. And following the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, we are praying to Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. Yadi sevā-vañcitāḥ syāma, yasyāḥ kṛpayā vayaṃ labhema, sarvaṃ prāpnumaḥ prayojanaṃ, dhāmni śrī-bhagavat pade, Kṛṣṇa-sambandhi sarvaṃ ca, Yadi jānīmahe tutam, Aṣṭādaśasu sahasreṣu, ślokānāṃ bhāgavat-oktiṣu, Rādhārānīṃ vindāmaḥ tadā, nishphalam bhagavat yayinam, radhikaya kripam vina, vyartasyat sarva-pariśramaḥ. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Rādhārānīṃ within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī, all our efforts are in vain. We are continuing our reading from Canto 6, Chapter 2, texts 36 through 37. Vimucyatam imam bandham avidya kama karmajam sarva-bhuta suricchanto maitra karuna atmavan muchaye grastam atmanam yosinmayatma mayaya Vikridito yayavaham kridhamriga ivadama. Because of identifying oneself with the body, one is subjected to desires for sense gratification, and thus one engages in many different types of pious and impious action. This is what constitutes material bondage. Now I shall disentangle myself from my material bondage, which has been caused by the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusory energy in the form of a woman. Being a most fallen soul, I was victimized by the illusory energy and have become like a dancing dog, led around by a woman's hand. Now I shall give up all lusty desires and free myself from this illusion. I shall become a merciful, well-wishing friend to all living entities and always absorb myself in Krishna consciousness. Purport. This should be the standard of determination for all Krishna-conscious persons. A Krishna-conscious person should free himself from the clutches of Maya, and he should also be compassionate to all others suffering in those clutches. The activities of the Krishna consciousness movement are meant not only for oneself but for others also. This is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. One who is interested in his own salvation is not as advanced in Krishna consciousness as one who feels compassion for others and who therefore propagates the Krishna consciousness movement. Such an advanced devotee will never fall down, for Krishna will give him special protection. That is the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. Everyone is like a play toy in the hands of the illusory energy and is acting as she moves him. One should come to Krishna consciousness to release oneself and also to release others. Text 38. Mamaham iti dehado hitva mityartha dhirmatim dasyemano bhagavati sudham tat kirtanadibi. Simply because I chanted the holy name of the Lord in the association of devotees, my heart is now becoming purified. Therefore I shall not fall victim again to the false lures of material sense gratification. Now that I have become fixed in the absolute truth, henceforward I shall not identify myself with the body. I shall give up false conceptions of I and mine, and fix my mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Nice. So this mama aham, I and mine, is a very important part of falling victim to Maya, or becoming influenced by the illusory energy. And both Srila Sridhar Maharaj really emphasizes that. He describes it as provincial interest. Provincial interest, I and mine. So it's always nice to come across a verse in Bhagavatam that directly talks about I and mine. I have like a collection of 3 or 4 of them, but I didn't have this verse, so very happy. Uh-oh. The internet crashed. Okay, it's back. Simply because I chanted the holy name of the Lord. Yep, okay, we read that. Purport. How a living entity becomes a victim of the material condition is lucidly explained in this verse. The beginning is to misidentify the body as oneself. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita begins with the spiritual instruction that one is not the body, but is within the body. This consciousness can be possible only if one chants the holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and always keeps oneself in the association of devotees. This is the secret of success. Therefore, we stress that one should chant the holy name of the Lord and keep oneself free from the contaminations of this material world, especially the contaminations of lusty desires for illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. With determination, one should vow to follow these principles and thus be saved from the miserable condition of material existence. The first necessity is to become freed from the bodily concept of life. Text 39. Iti jata sunirveda kṣṇa sangena sarvaṣu gangadvaram upeyaya mukta sarvanubandhana. Because of a moment's association with devotees, the Viṣṇudūtas, Ajāmila detached himself from the material conception of life with determination. Thus, freed from all material attraction, he immediately started for Hardvar. Purport. The word Mukta Sarvanubandhana indicates that after this incident, Ajāmila, not caring for his wife and children, went straight for Hardvar for further advancement in his spiritual life. Our Krishna consciousness movement now has centers in Vrindavan and Navadvip, so that those who want to live a retired life, whether they be devotees or not, can go there and with determination give up the bodily concept of life. One is welcome to live in those holy places for the rest of his life in order to achieve the highest success by the very simple method of chanting the holy name of the Lord and taking prasad. Thus one may return home back to Godhead. We do not have a center in Hardwar, but Vrindavan and Sri Mayapur are better for devotees than other places. The Chaitanya Chandrodaya temple offers one a good opportunity to associate with devotees. Let us all take advantage of this opportunity. So I'm sure there is some Gaudiya Vaishnava temples in Hardwar at this point in time. Srila Prabhupada wrote this 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago. Oops. Text 40. Satasmin deva sadhana asino yogam astita pratyahritendriya gramo yuyoja mana atmani. In Hardwar, Ajāmila took shelter at a Vishnu temple, where he executed the process of bhakti yoga. He controlled his senses and fully applied his mind in the service of the Lord. Purport. The devotees who have joined the Krishna consciousness movement may live comfortably in our many temples and engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus they can control the mind and senses and achieve the highest success in life. This is the process descending from time immemorial. Learning from the life of Ajāmila, we should vow with determination to do what is necessary to follow this path. (41) Tato gunebhya atmanam viyujatma samadhina yuyuje bhagavat dhāmni brahmanyanu bhavatmani. Ajāmila fully engaged in devotional service. Thus he detached his mind from the process of sense gratification and became fully absorbed in thinking of the form of the Lord. Purport. If one worships the deity in the temple, one's mind will naturally be absorbed in thought of the Lord and his form. There is no distinction between the form of the Lord and the Lord himself. Therefore, bhakti yoga is the most easy system of yoga. Yogis try to concentrate their minds upon the form of the Supersoul, Vishnu, within the heart, but this same objective is easily achieved when one's mind is absorbed in the deity worshipped in the temple. In every temple there is a transcendental form of the Lord, and one may easily think of this form. By seeing the Lord during arati, by offering bhog, and by constantly thinking of the form of the deity, one becomes a first-class yogi. This is the best process of yoga, as confirmed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Bhagavad-gītā 6.47. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatin antaratmana shradhavan bhajate yomam same yuktat tamomata. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The first-class yogi is he who controls his senses and detaches himself from material activities by always thinking of the form of the Lord. Text 42. Yarhuparatadishtasmin adrakshit purushan pura upalabhyopalabdhan prag vavande shirashadvija. When his intelligence and mind were fixed upon the form of the Lord, the Brahmana Ajāmila once again saw before him 4 celestial persons. He could understand that they were those he had seen previously, and thus he offered them his obeisances by bowing down before them. Purport. The Viṣṇudūtas who had rescued Ajāmila came before him again, when his mind was firmly fixed upon the form of the Lord. The Viṣṇudūtas had gone away for some time to give Ajāmila a chance to become firmly fixed in meditation upon the Lord. Now that his devotion had matured, they returned to take him. Understanding that the same Viṣṇudūtas had returned, Ajāmila offered them his obeisances by bowing down before them. Text 43. Hitva kalevaram tirte gangayam darshanad anu sadhyasvarupam jagre bhagavat-oktiṣu. Upon seeing the Viṣṇudūtas, Ajāmila gave up his material body at Hardvar on the bank of the Ganges. He regained his original spiritual body, which was a body appropriate for an associate of the Lord. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatvata tyaktva deham punar janma naitimam eti sarjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. The result of perfection in Krishna consciousness is that after giving up one's material body, one is immediately transferred to the spiritual world in one's original spiritual body to become an associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some devotees go to Vaikuntha Loka and others go to Goloka Vrindavan to become associates of Krishna. Text 44. Sakham vihaya sa vipro mahapurusha kinkarai haimam vimanam aruya yayo yatra shriyapati. Accompanied by the order carriers of Lord Vishnu, Ajāmila boarded an airplane made of gold. Passing through the airways, he went directly to the abode of Lord Vishnu, the husband of the goddess of fortune. Purport. For many years, material scientists have tried to go to the moon, but they are still unable to go there. However, the spiritual airplanes from the spiritual planets can take one back home, back to Godhead in a second. The speed of such a spiritual plane can only be imagined. Spirit is finer than the mind, and everyone has experience of how swiftly the mind travels from one place to another. Therefore, one can imagine the swiftness of the spiritual form by comparing it to the speed of the mind. In less than even a moment, a perfect devotee can return home back to Godhead immediately after giving up his material body. Text 45. Evam sa viplavita sarva-dharma dasya pati patito garya karmana nipatyamano niraye hatavrata sadhyo vimukta bhagavanam agrinan. Ajāmila was a Brahmana who, because of bad association, had given up all Brahminical culture and religious principles. Becoming most fallen, he stole, drank, and performed other abominable acts. He even kept a prostitute. Thus, he was destined to be carried away to hell by the order carriers of Yamaraj. But he was immediately rescued simply by a glimpse of the chanting of the holy name Narayan. Text 46. Nata param karma nibandha krintanam mumukshatam tirtha padanu kirtanat nayat puna karmasu sajatemano rajastamobhyam kalilam tatonyata. Therefore, one who desires freedom from material bondage should adopt the process of chanting and glorifying the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at whose feet all the holy places stand. One cannot derive the proper benefit from other methods, such as pious atonement, speculative knowledge and meditation, and mystic yoga. Because even after following such methods, one takes to fruitive activities again, unable to control his mind, which is controlled by the base qualities of nature, namely passion and ignorance.
Which is contaminated.
What did I say? Which is contaminated by the base qualities, namely passion and ignorance.
I think you said controlled, but...
Purport. It has actually been seen that even after achieving so-called perfection, many karmis, jnanis, and yogis become attached to material activities again. Many so-called swamis and yogis give up material activities as false, jagan mithya. But after some time, they nevertheless resume material activities by opening hospitals and schools or performing other activities for the benefit of the public. Sometimes they participate in politics, although still falsely declaring themselves sannyasis, members of the renounced order. The perfect conclusion, however, is that if one actually desires to get out of the material world, he must take to devotional service, which begins with Shravanam Kirtanam Viṣṇu. Bhagavatam 6.2.36. Chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. The Krishna consciousness movement has actually proved this. In the Western countries, many young boys who were addicted to drugs and who had many other bad habits, which they could not give up, abandoned all those propensities and very seriously engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord as soon as they joined the Krishna consciousness movement. In other words, this process is the perfect method of atonement for actions performed in Raja and Tama, passion and ignorance, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.19. Tadā rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye cheta atar anavidam stitam sattve prashidati. As a result of Raja and Tama, one becomes increasingly lusty and greedy. But when one takes to the process of chanting and hearing, one comes to the platform of goodness and becomes happy. As he advances in devotional service, all his doubts are completely eradicated. Vidyate hridaye grantis chidyante sarva samshaya. Thus the knot of his desire for fruitive activities is cut to pieces. Okay. Just wondering, how many more? Okay, let's just read these last two. Texts 47 through 48. Ya etam paramam guyam itihasam agapaham shrunuyachradhaya yukto yascha bhaktyanu kirtayet navaisa narakam yati nikshito yama kinkarai yadyapi amangalo yadyapi Yadyapyamangalo martyo Viṣṇu loke mahiyate. Because this very confidential historical narration has the potency to vanquish all sinful reactions, one who hears or describes it with faith and devotion is no longer doomed to hellish life, regardless of his having a material body and regardless of how sinful he may have been. Indeed, the Yamadūtas who carry out the orders of Yamaraj do not approach him even to see him. After giving up his body, he returns home back to Godhead, where he is very respectfully received and worshipped. Text 49. Mriyamano harir nama Grinan putro pacharitam Ajāmilo pyagadhama Kim uta shradhaya grinan. While suffering at the time of death, Ajāmila chanted the holy name of the Lord, and although the chanting was directed toward his son, he nevertheless returned home back to Godhead. Therefore, if one faithfully and inoffensively chants the holy name of the Lord, where is the doubt that he will return to Godhead? Purport. At the time of death, one is certainly bewildered because of his bodily functions being in disorder. At that time, even one who is throughout his life chanting the holy name of the Lord, they may not be able to chant the Hare Krishna mantra very distinctly. Nevertheless, such a person receives all the benefits of chanting the holy name. While the body is fit, therefore, why should we not chant the holy name of the Lord loudly and distinctly? If one does so, it is quite possible that even at the time of death, he will be probably able to chant the holy name of the Lord with love and faith.
Properly.
Oh gosh. Even at the time of death, he will be properly able to chant the holy name of the Lord with love and faith. In conclusion, one who chants the holy name of the Lord constantly is guaranteed to return home back to Godhead without a doubt. And this is a supplementary note to this chapter. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary to texts 9 and 10 of this chapter form a dialogue concerning how one can become free from all sinful reactions simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Someone may say, it may be accepted that by chanting the holy name of the Lord one becomes freed from the reactions of sinful life. However, if one commits sinful acts in full consciousness, not only once but many, many times, he is unable to free himself from the reactions of such sins, even after atoning for them for 12 years or more. How is it possible then that simply by once chanting the holy name of the Lord, one immediately becomes freed from the reactions of such sins? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur replies by quoting verses 9 and 10 of this chapter. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the best process of atonement for a thief of gold or other valuables, for a drunkard, for one who betrays a friend or relative, for one who kills a brahmana, or for one who indulges in sex with the wife of his guru or another superior. It is also the best method of atonement for one who murders women, the king or his father, for one who slaughters cows, and for all other sinful men. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Vishnu, such sinful persons may attract the attention of the Supreme Lord, who therefore considers, because this man has chanted my holy name, my duty is to give him protection. One may atone for sinful life and vanquish all sinful reactions by chanting the holy name, although this is not called atonement. Ordinary atonement may temporarily protect a sinful person, but it does not completely cleanse his heart of the deep-rooted desire to commit sinful acts. Therefore, atonement is not as powerful as chanting of the holy name of the Lord. In the Shastras, it is said that if a person only once chants the holy name and completely surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord immediately considers him his ward and is always inclined to give him protection. This is confirmed by Sridhar Swami. Thus, when Ajāmila was in great danger of being carried off by the order carriers of Yamaraj, the Lord immediately sent him his personal order carriers to protect him. And because Ajāmila was freed from all sinful reactions, the Viṣṇudūtas spoke on his behalf. Ajāmila had named his son Narayan, and because he loved the boy very much, he would call him again and again. Although he was calling for his son, the name itself was powerful, because the name Narayan is not different from the Supreme Lord Narayan. When Ajāmila named his son Narayan, all the reactions of his sinful life were neutralized, and as he continued calling his son, and thus chanting the holy name of Narayan thousands of times, he was actually unconsciously advancing in Krishna consciousness. One may argue, since he was constantly chanting the name of Narayana, how was it possible for him to be associating with a prostitute and thinking of wine? By his sinful actions, he was bringing suffering upon himself again and again, and therefore one may say that his ultimate chanting of Narayan was the cause of his being freed. However, his chanting would have been a namaparad, namno balad yasyāḥ papa buddhi. One who continues to act sinfully and tries to neutralize his sins by chanting the holy name of the Lord is a nam aparadi, an offender to the holy name. In response, it may be said that Ajāmila's chanting was inoffensive because he did not chant the sinful actions. Because he did not chant the name of Narayan with the purpose of counteracting his sins. He did not know that he was addicted to sinful actions. Nor did he know that his chanting of the name of Narayan was neutralizing them. Thus he did not commit namaparad, and his repeated chanting of the holy name of Narayan while calling his son may be called pure chanting. Because of this pure chanting, Ajāmila unconsciously accumulated the results of bhakti. Indeed, even his first utterance of the holy name was sufficient to nullify all the sinful reactions of his life. To cite a logical example, a fig tree does not immediately yield fruits, but in time the fruits are available. Similarly, Ajāmila's devotional service grew little by little, and therefore, although he committed very sinful acts, the reactions did not affect him. In the Shastras, it is said that if one chants the holy name of the Lord even once, the reaction of past, present, or future sinful life do not affect him. To give another example, if one extracts the poison fangs of a serpent, this saves the serpent's future victims from poisonous effects, even if the serpent bites repeatedly. Similarly, if a devotee chants the holy name even once inoffensively, this protects him eternally. He need only wait for the results of the chanting to mature in due course of time. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 6th canto, 2nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, titled Ajāmila, delivered by the Viṣṇudūtas. So we will continue from chapter 3. On Wednesday. Okay. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Tirtha Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navaduk Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sham Kun Radha Kun Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai, Princeton Bhakti Vedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Ki Jai, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol, Jai Śrīmatī Tulsi Maharani Devi Dasi Ki Jai.
Jai Krishna Keshav Das Brahmachari Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Jai Gurudev.